And he's walking and running around, right?
Mostly running.
That's,
Mostly running.
there's that small window, right? When they go from toddling to walking to dead sprint.
He much prefers the food from my.
Yeah. That's it.
Oh, thank you.
Your
You
dinner
have to-
served 16
You
people.
read it to it, it's got the little thing that you feel.
Oh, like the.
Yeah,
touch.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
I added, beans.
Yeah.
Then you got.
Here's the fun thing, is those instant mashed potatoes.
Yeah, probably got
Called church, 5 pounds. They were having a 99-cent special.
I
I appreciate
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, can I make- I did. Oh, I gave it to.
Oh.
How are you? I didn't.
She's good.
Chick
You're not cool. We can say that. I knew you were gonna do this on December 1st, and we got ours, but then we decided you wanted to put a little sticker on. With some, news of the year kind of.
Sir.
Look at this, he did it. We got an envelope sticker and a hand stamp on the front, guys. Did you hear that?
What?
I said, look at the quality. We got the hand stamp, the sticker on the envelope.
I know, right?
And his comment was, bet you he didn't do it.
I actually did all, I didn't address it. Danielle addressed. Danielle wrote the names.
Who sealed
Uh-huh.
them? Who sealed them?
I did.
You did?
I did.
With a stamp?
Yeah. I had to wrestle him away from Brady.
Look at that.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at those rosy cheeks. I know the years, he's outside in the cold.
I know. I know.
Yeah, whatever.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Merry
This is great.
Christmas.
No. I'm supposed to bring the turkey part. Tell me today. So I'll bring it.
All right, folks, since we're all here and accounted for, I can go ahead and call our study session under order. It is 6 P.M.
That's me, I thought.
We can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk Domingo, if you'll take the roll call for us, please.
Councilmember Williams.
Present.
Reed. Stewart.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
Davis. Here. Brad.
Here.
And Mayor Snyder.
Here. So we're here early for a study session to go over the last few budget items for 2026 budget. So Director Clark, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Good to see you again. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. And I just have a couple funds left that I was not able to get to. And then I'm also helping with the brownfield fund budget and also the revolving loan fund budget. I believe Bruce and our new CEO at the EDC, Deb, will go over the TIPA and the EDC budget that they put together. Okay, so the first thing we want to look at is the 450, which is the street improvement fund. It's probably the thickest that we have. Which should say 450 street improvement fund up on the top left corner. Now, this is our,
It's the only one with the state.
yeah. So this is our capital improvements fund, mostly used for our street improvements that we're doing. There's a lot of activity in this fund for 2025 and also coming up for 2026. We took it on a lot of projects, but I separated them and we'll go through each one separately. So you guys understand what the grants are, what the city matches are for them. If Jason's here, I'm sure he's here.
Not yet.
But he will know the details as far as how long the roads are, what they're doing to the roads and all that. I will let him discuss that, but I will go with the financial part of it. And if you have questions, I'll do the best I can to answer them. So let's start, Alex, this is similar to what you guys have been looking at. The first column, starting from the left, is 2024 activity. The second column is the council approved budget for 2025. The third column is 10 months worth of activity for 2025. The fourth column is what we project the end of the year will look like based on the activity so far. And then the third or the fifth column is the difference between our projected number versus what we budgeted for. That's a column that can explain a lot of the differences. And also the second to last column is what we are requesting for our 2026 budget. And then the last column is the difference between what we're requesting and what we projected our 2025 year-end numbers will be. The 2025 projected will end up being our amended budget once that's approved by council. So let's start with our revenues. Again, this is our street improvement fund. We collect property taxes, mostly through our summer taxes. And last year we budgeted for $327,000 and it came in just a little bit lower. So that is the difference there. And everything else looks pretty good. The other type of revenue that we show here is our local community stabilization money. And that is something that the state gives us for this fund. It's to replace the personal property taxes that we lose when businesses ask for exemption on those personal property taxes. So I file a form with the state every year, and it's based on our assessed values and so forth. And then they send us a check once a year based on that. So the $955,000 for the grant, you can cross that out similar to what we did before. I showed that a little bit later. So it can match up with that particular project. So if you take out the $955,523, we budgeted for $497,265. And our projected number is going to be $504,737. Now, the difference that makes that up is a little bit shortage we had in property taxes. Our local stabilization money came in lower, just like it did with all the other funds. And then the interest was a lot higher than what we anticipated on our investments. Next year, you can look at the requested amounts. And they're going to be 479, roughly 480,000. And the difference is going to be the interest income. That's going to be about half of what it was for 2025 because we're going to spend the money to pay for the projects. So as time goes on, our investment money and our fund will go down. All right. Any questions on the revenues? They're pretty standard every year. All right, so we'll go to our first department. This is street improvements miscellaneous. Most of the bills that come through here are for our load ratings that Whiteman does for us on our bridges. That's usually about the same every year. We budget for $15,000 and it came in at $17,333. And that is your difference. Next year, nothing's budgeted for that. I haven't got any thing from Whiteman that shows that that's going to be there next year. I think that's something that maybe is done every 3 years.
Right, plus we made improvements to 3 of our bridges this year.
Yeah. So nothing's gonna be there. So that gets us to the next department, our next project, which is our North Albion Street Bridge and Haven Road. Just a few bills came in during 2025 to finish that project. Most of it was done in 23 and 24. So that was a project that was pretty much done. Just a few final bills came in for 2025. So we go down to the next one. This is our next project, Dean Street, Hoagland Street, or Hoagland Drive improvements. This is Department 531. In for 2025 through 2026, we're going to receive a federal grant for 100% of the total cost of the project. So we had a few expenditures in 24 and 25. And when you look at the 128,000, that's under that footnote that I just read, that number there is to cover what we expect to spend in 24 and 25 that we have already spent. That's part of the grant. Then moving forward to 2026, we're going to get another 2.537 million, and we're going to spend the same amount. Part of it's going to be engineering fees, part of it's going to be the construction part of the project. But again, I want you to circle that 0 in the second to last column. That project is 100% funded. Cost the city nothing. Hopefully, yeah, we don't go over.
What's 0?
Second to last column. After the 2,537,787.
I only see a 0 under.
Okay, way down at the bottom. I got it.
Oh,
Right at the bottom on the second to last.
Yeah, we're in 531.
So we're in Department 531,
Can I,
Dean Drive, Hoagland Drive improvements.
oh yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilor
Yes,
Stewart.
thank you. But I'm sorry to back up, but on the, just to understand on the, way back up on 500, the load ratings for the
Yeah.
bridges.
Yep.
And tell me again why it's 0 in 2026, is just we don't have to do load ratings every year or what?
That's
Yeah, I
correct.
haven't been notified.
Thank you.
It's about every 3 years.
That's,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right, so again, we're down at the Dean Drive in Hoagland. Hoagland Drive and improvements, again, that is a roughly about a $2.6 million project, but everything is going to be covered through payments from the state. But that is gonna, most of the construction is gonna start and hopefully be finished in 2026. There's always a chance it could run into 27. You never know. But for now, we have it budgeted to be done for 2026. All right, as we move forward, we go to the next department. This is our MTF water improvement street project. This is the road portion of the water system project. This is, if we go up to the first page, you'll see we're at the first page, the first column, all the way down. Right before the total for revenues, you'll see 2,790,000 number. First page, first column, 10,
Oh, yeah.
probably 10 rows down. There's a blue footnote under it. That's the bonds that we sold to cover
Okay.
the road portion of the water system project. And the water system project expenses are shown in 532. Department 532. And again, we're going to spend, I anticipate the projected is going to be 996,000 by the end of 2025. Another 1,580,000 in 2026. But again, the bonds will cover 100% of that. So that will cost the city money, but it will be paid over time by principal and interest payments. Any questions so far? All right, now let's go to the next one. This is Department 533. This is the Albion Street improvements. There's a footnote underneath. We're going to get a grant for $1,333,750. The project is going to cost $1,693,000. So we're going to have to pick up the difference. The engineering is shown in account 801. The construction is shown in account 802. We did incur some cost in 2025, roughly 21,450. We also incurred some costs in 2024. Those were all handled by the city as part of their match. When the project's all said and done, the city will have to kick in 359,250. It's the difference between the project cost and the grant. So that will have to come out of the investment money inside the Fund 450. And I will go over what Fund 450 has as investments once we're done. So that's one of the first projects where the city has to kick in a match. Any questions on that project?
What is
And
that?
again, when Jason, if you guys want to know what the project's about, Jason can explain.
What does the match show? Does it get entered here? Or you
It-
talk about it
It
later?
is, it's the difference between the grant of 1,333,750 and the actual project cost,
Got it.
359,250. And that is a project that will go on from 2024 through 2026. Most of the first couple of years are just engineering fees. And then the construction starts in 2026. The engineering fees always start first. And then all the engineering's done, then the project starts. So that was Albion Street improvements. The next one is the 7 bridges preventive maintenance. That is redoing 7 separate bridges. The city's total match on that is gonna be 168,000, a little over 168,000. This project started in 2024. It ran through 2026 and was finished. There's very little construction because this is a situation where the state of Michigan paid the construction contractors directly. They didn't send us the money so we could pay them, the contractors. They paid the contractors directly. All we had to do was pick up our match. So everything that we spent was part of our match. This was a project that was well over $1 million. But the state took care of all the construction up to the amount that we were supposed to match. That project's complete and done. That's why you see nothing in 2026. Any questions on that? So that match has already been paid. There'll be nothing else going out for that particular project. The North Maple, we thought we were gonna do that. Mickey had it on his sheet for me to budget, but we decided not to do that. Instead, we're gonna do West Cass Street. So that amount was budgeted, was not used. But West Cass Street will be coming up. All right, our next one is our West Cass Street improvements. And this is where we're getting a grant for $385,000. The project is $950,000 total. The engineering started in 2025. This is in your 3rd column. We anticipate spending $72,500 by the end of the year. Then the rest of the project will happen in 2026, the construction of $781,500, and the rest of the engineering fees. The total project is $950,000. We're getting a grant for $385,000. So the city's match will be $565,000. Most of it will go out in 2026. Again, the project is $950 minus the grant of $385. So the city's ultimate match will be $565,000. And most of that will be paid in 2026. That's when the construction will start and hopefully be completed. What was that?
From what fund is that 500?
From this fund right here.
So you'll tell us how much.
I'm gonna show you. Right? So that is the West Cass Street Improvement Project. We still have just a little bit left on the Stouffer Plaza project. I think most of it is the water main extension. That's what most of this was in 2025. And what we have budgeted for 2026. And of course, that's all being funded by the city. There may be a transfer from the water fund if needed, because part of that was for the water. I haven't shown that yet. I want to see how things come out first. All right, now we're down to Department 691. This is the Beamer, Magnolia Dean improvements. This is a project that's $2,809,000. The city's match will be $311,138. The engineering started in 2025. I'm on the third column now. I anticipate $226,140 by the end of the year. All engineering. And then the construction will start in 2026. So far, we know the city match is going to be $311,138. It could go up if we incur bills that are not part of the contract.
On the spreadsheet, it says city match will be 309.
Yep, we've received roughly $2,138 of extra bills. This was a camera that had to be used to go through the sewer lines. And Jason can discuss that further. So sometimes we do have bills that are not part of the contract that we have to cover as well. And then I also have a transfer in coming from the MDOT to help with all these projects. There's nothing going on in the MDOT Street Improvement Fund. I'll go over that later. But there's so much going on in this for this year, so far for this year and next year coming up, and possibly 2027. If these projects don't get done in time, that this fund needed that money. And that's $145,000 that will be transferred in. The $60,000 that was budgeted last year, we're not going to need, because that money really should come from the street funds, and that's to pay back the interest and bond payments on the $2.79 million that we borrow for the street portion of the water system project. So that you cross out. All right, so when we look at the overall fund, these are the numbers on the last page. So for 2025, or when you look at 2024, we had a positive amount of almost 2.6 million. That's what the fund made. And why was that? Because we sold the bonds. In 2025, we start spending the money. I'm on column 4. My projected number is going to be $971,000 loss. That is using up some of that 2.6 million. The requested amount for this next year is 1,836,000 loss. That's also using up. That's what that money's for. So currently right now, the street improvement fund has just a little under $2 million of cash. Next year's revenues will bring in $480,000 cash. So I anticipate roughly 2.5 million of what I got now and what's going to come in. If I subtract what I'm going to spend from 10 months to the projected number, which is 712,000 so far through 10 months, and I project I'm going to be at 971,000, that's 259,000. If I also take out the loss for 2026 and subtract that, hopefully at the end of the year, we'll have $361,000 left in this fund. That's how we're gonna pay for it. Any questions?
Me. We had talked this afternoon about, the matches. This is important that council realizes. Is that there are some grants that we get 100% funding from. But a lot of the grants, you get a portion, maybe 50%, maybe it's 75, maybe it's 80%. After we calculated, and I think Dave can tell you that we have what, 1.8 million in matches?
On these projects here that we just went over, 1,233,000 is our total match. And if everything goes well, it'll wipe out our street improvement fund, and we should have some left for the next project. But there's no room left for any more projects. That's why when I first started and we first started talking about the budget, we need to take a year and breathe and slow down and let us get caught up. Because we have a lot going on and we've done a lot. But we can't keep rolling at that pace.
And part of the problem too, and Jason can talk with more expertise, every time we open up the ground, there's something that we find, and it's very difficult to close up the ground knowing that something is broken. So this has been one of Jason's frustrations, is that we're an older community with older infrastructure. And so we have to be disciplined and not pursue, because we know that there will probably be issues that we're going to encounter. So we're going to have to be disciplined and not chase after any more grants that have matches, at least for a year. Jason.
What we did this time is we were proactive for these projects that are coming up. As city manager talked about, David, the camera, we cameraed everything. All these projects for next year, we already have all the intel of what we're looking at for storm sanitary lines. And there are sections that are going to have to be replaced. And so we've just started to go back and forth, and David doesn't have those numbers just yet, but just a very, very high estimate is $1 million between Dean, Hoagland, Magnata, Beamer, North Albion Street, Cass Street, combine all that together. And we're roughly about $1 million by the time we get done fixing the worst of the worst. So we're still playing with those numbers, seeing if there's other options out there. So we have that to deal with. We have the water main for Stauffer Plaza is coming in at about 140 to 170 if we replace the drive going in front of the auto parts store. I'm still going to talk with the owners about some of that and try to figure that one out. But we have, I was telling Doug and David this today, we have roughly about 1.2 to 1.3 million that we know of is kind of sitting out there that's going to hang as a possible bill that's going to come due doing these projects coming up in 26 on top of what we already got. And so that's why I completely agree with what David is saying, and city manager too. Some of these grants are great, but they come with a price tag that is just killing us. So
is Albion Street not going to be done?
Albion Street's going to be done. It's just, it's kind of like with Maple Street. We had 385,000 for it. By the time we got done, it was going to cost us 1.2 million on top of the 385. And it's like, but Cass Street, you can use the 385,000 and it costs us 500,000 to complete it. So it's like, okay, lesser of two evils. So.
So that's our street improvement. The next one is really simple. This is our 452 fund. MDOT fund, there was no activity in there, interest that we are. But again, most of that money is gonna be transferred to the street improvement fund 450 to help with the projects that we just went over. So that's pretty simple. Okay, the next one is our Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. And there's two projects currently right now that we're running through this fund. Okay, this is our Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. There's only two projects going through this fund right now. One is for the Albion Hotel and the other one is for Brick Street Lofts. The Albion Hotel was paid off completely in 2022. For 2023, 24, 25, 26, and 27 are the last 5 years. The money collected, most of it will go over to the revolving loan fund. So let's go through this. I think the Brick Street is in the third year, so the next couple of years they will get reimbursed for a percentage of their property taxes, but we'll go through it. So council approved for 2025, 248,000. The revenue source is property taxes based on those two projects, interest on the investments, and the transfer in from the DDA fund. And there's a footnote in there for that. That's based on agreement that'll go for 10 years. So we budgeted 248,000 roughly. The projected number is going to be 242,645. So there's not too much of a difference there. And then next year, we have our budgeted amounts for the property taxes, the interest, and the transfer in from the VA. Roughly just about what it's been. The contracted services, or the budgeted amount for the expenses was 206,382. The projected number is going to be 240,842. Most of the difference is the state education tax, where 50% is kept in the fund and the other 50% is sent to the state. We got a couple extra bills for 22 and 23 that made that a little bit higher than what was budgeted. For 2026, you can see the amount is going to be a little bit lower. This also includes, as you can read in the footnote, the payments back to the developer. There's two types of payments that come through this account, contracted services. The administrative fees are what the fund pays back to the city for the agreement between the two parties for doing accounting and anything else that they need. The rest is pretty insurance and bonds, and then the transfer out is what goes to the revolving loan fund once the developer is paid off. That transfers for the Albion Hotel. That goes to the revolving loan fund. There's a footnote on that. And you can see what's budgeted for 2026. So money comes in and then it's paid right back out, either to the state, the developer, or to the revolving loan fund if the developer is paid off. Most brownfield plans that we have are for 10 years. The developer gets paid back in 5 years. The next 5 years, it goes to the revolving loan fund. Once the 10 years are done, then the money goes to the units that give up that money when they pay their property taxes. And when I say units, it's the city, it's all the local taxes, it's all the units in the summer and winter that usually get their property taxes. They're giving it up for the brownfield projects that we have. Once they're over, then they start receiving that money unless there's other brownfield projects that have been approved.
How many more years do we have in that?
2 more years. And I believe the Brick Street is 26 and 27, then they're done getting paid back, and then that money goes to the revolving fund. But the amount is a lot lower. Yeah. It's a small building. Yeah. So that's the brownfield. All right, then we'll go to the revolving loan fund. And its source of revenue is just interest on the money that it has invested. It also pays, there was a $7,500 contract bill or contract and services that was approved, but nothing was spent. The insurance for that fund. So really the only activity is really the interest, the insurance on the fund, and then the transfer in from the brownfield. And you can see the numbers that I have anticipated for next year. 21,500 was budgeted for interest, and we received, or I expect to get 36,000. Next year is going to be a little bit lower, anticipating that the interest rate will be low. And of course, the transfers are shown below with the footnote under it. The 172,604 transfer in 2026 will be for 2025's taxes because we have to wait for the winter to be paid. So we're always a year behind. Any questions on anything that I did? I thank the council for its time through my 4 sessions, but hopefully you guys get a good picture of what's going on.
Thank you, David.
If you want to go over the new data.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not much going on there. I think we went over that.
We did.
Yeah. Mhm. So I believe these are gonna come up next. So it's just these out. This is the DC's budget. And this is the.
Sharon Brown.
This is the.
Well, good evening. I've met most of you, but I'm Debbie Kelly. I'm the new president and CEO for the Albion Economic Development Corporation. And I have with me tonight, no stranger to anyone, Bruce Nelson. He's our treasurer of our AEDC board. And since I'm only week 4 into the new role, I've asked Bruce to kind of hold my hand going through this budget process. This is a different way of budgeting than what I've been used to for the last 27 years. So this is all new to me. So I appreciate your patience with me, but I am having Bruce kind of guide me through all this, trying to learn it as we're doing the budget. So it's kind of a crunch time for both of us, especially me. So with that, I'm going to have Bruce kind of walk through the ED fund and the TIPA fund with everyone to make sure that I'm not going to misrepresent anything as I'm still learning this. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bruce. So thank you for having us tonight.
We explored some different ways of budgeting, but as it turned out, we kind of went with the same format that we had last year. So some of our expenses are charged directly to TIFA, some are charged to EDC. You'll note the EDC actually has no estimated revenue, so money will have to be transferred at some point from the TIFA fund into the EDC fund to cover the expenses that are allotted to that. That said, the overall expenses for next year will be a little higher than this year because we're paying a salary to a director. You don't have the pro bono contribution of $15,000 a month for the last 10 months that helped our budget a bit. At the same time that we are taking on additional costs with the fully funding a director, we most certainly hope we will put less money into professional fees. One of the things that happened this year, as you all know, is that we won the grant, MEDC grant. Part of that grant next year, it covers option payments, it covers legal fees incurred on behalf of the industrial park. This year, we absorbed all that. So our professional services fees were quite high, and then we also had all the costs of the options as well. Plus, there were different, the employment situation was with director leaving and the severance and many issues related to that. So we're expecting to have most of the stuff has been cut from this year. However, there is an increase in the salary. The staff remains the same. We have a lot of the EDC. There's been misperception, which I've often tried to correct that. This started perhaps with my predecessor who used to say, we're a grant funded organization. We are a grant administered organization, and in the sense that the grants pass through us. But as Jason was talking about your city grants have a price tag. In our case, it's not a match, but they don't provide any overhead. They don't provide anything for the director. There's a lot of stuff as you grow into a larger organization doing more things, you incur more expenses. All of the grants that we've gotten, which were great grants. I mean, we put $1.5 million into home repair in Albion, so our ROI looks great, but it costs us money to do that. And also it costs us money to invest in the industrial park. We probably at this point, I suspect we've sunk 200,000, not all this year, but we probably all together have invested 200,000 in Albion money in that industrial park. This is before. Now that fact that we invested that much inspired the state to contribute their $1 million, and hopefully going forward we will not have to come up with additional monies of our own, but we may. Now, investment is the right word for that money, because if we get a tenant in that industrial park,
then we own those options. The EDC owns those options. So those options, unless we decide to give away the property to get somebody to come here. But if we sell the property, usually it's sold at a profit. Those options would sell for higher than we negotiated them. We own one tract of land out there that would also be sold. So there's potential, once the industrial park becomes inhabited, the Newton, that there would be some windfall income into the EDC. So that's something to keep in mind, and we've been investing for the future. Secondly, as we try to get back from just doing grants to actually doing EDC work proper, some of the projects the EDC proper might do could also eventually earn some revenue as well, hopefully. I mean, we always look at projects, everything is an investment, right? So you want to look at the ROI. What are we getting back for what are we investing? So next year, having grown the organization with all these grants, we are not quite in balance as much as we would like to be. But I think we're good for a year with the budget that we have here. I've reduced all the expenses as low as I could get them. But we do have staff, and the staff is fully employed. We have things that we'll be spending money on going forward. So this, I think although this one, between the TIF and the EDC, it adds up to more than I think we'll actually spend. I think we'll come in next year at about 450,000 all told. I think some of the grants that we're getting when we rework some of the allocations, which we were doing very quickly, I think we'll bring some of these numbers down. So I'm pretty good with the budget. I think it's going to, we'll take some of the funds from TIF to help get us through this year. But this is sort of a transition year.
And as I begin my role as your president and CEO representing the EDC, I do anticipate, and it's part of my job, to find new revenue sources for this community. For the industrial park, working with the Economic Development Administration, for example, working with our state partners at the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, finding these new opportunities, finding those new refund revenue sources, so we can continue to grow and make sure that moving forward, our numbers are always in the black for both of these funds, because I know it's a concern now. So I guess I would just ask, again, for patience and allow me some time. This could, like Bruce had mentioned, this is kind of a transition year to where we can really start doing some economic development activities for the city of Albion and get those new revenue sources coming in, so our budget looks much better in future years.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Any questions?
Councilman Stewart.
It's really a question in general. We're in a study session, right?
Yes.
And so how much time do we want to, we need to let them know, what time we have to wrap.
We have about 12 minutes.
Unless you want to go line by line. So I'm roughly speaking, when I first did the first cut of this.
Go ahead, Mayor Protem.
Oh,
Thank you. So I look at what David has put before us, and I see $348,000 plus change in estimated revenue for the TIFA fund, and $6,100 in estimated revenue from the general economic development. I see no other revenue. So if that's the case, and you're submitting a budget that's more than that, where's the leak? Is it salaries? Is it?
the balance comes from the this year
So you're gonna request more than
the
the,
TIF has a balance. Just think of the TIF right now, it has about, although it's been less than this year, but it's probably $400,000 or $500,000 additional in the TIF. So think that's your savings account.
okay.
So this is my checking account. My checking account and this is my worst case.
Yes.
I beat the worst case last year by, what was it? 200 and some thousand dollars. Yeah. Okay, so this is the worst case. I do not like to run into the savings, but if I have to do it for 1 year to transition, I cannot do it for, we know, and Debbie knows, we cannot do it for 2 years.
Yeah.
1 year, and then we get this thing balanced one way or another.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That's a good question, because that's the obvious thing. That's the obvious question when you look at this, is it looks like you're spending more than you're planning to take in. And of course, the grants are all
Sure.
behind this,
Yeah.
but they're just flushing through the
Right.
site. So yeah, how can we get our revenues up so that we can accommodate these grants? And that's our challenge, and that's it. For sure.
Okay,
And we have 1 year. Otherwise,
I have no doubt you'll figure it
we will downsize.
Fingers are crossed, everyone.
Councilman Davis.
Thank you. So the anticipation of additional grants for 2026 isn't clear because we heard from the city, let's take a moratorium, sit back for a while. So what is EDC planning with?
Well, we have the Michigan Neighborhood Program 3.0, the housing grant coming in. We just submitted our LOI today. We hope that we hear in a couple weeks to get kind of the invitation to submit a full application to MISTA. And we're expecting 100,000 at a minimum for admin fees just for that one grant. We are hoping on the high end that we can hit the 180,000. That's if we get the CDBG tied into this particular grant. But MISTA is aware that it's forthcoming, so we're really confident that we're going to be awarded that grant. And then we just signed a grant agreement late last week for the MEDC grant for the Michigan Readiness Program for the East Industrial Park, and that was just shy of $1 million. We're expecting around 100,000 to come in for admin fees for that one as well. And we have right now, staff is researching any future opportunities since now the federal government is now open. I have a meeting this Friday with the EDA to talk about a potential grant for the industrial park and anything else that we can possibly think of to use grant funding for. And I have a meeting with my state partners tomorrow to talk about any grant opportunities, funding opportunities that we can apply for, things that we can go for. Because it's very important that we bring revenue into this community so we can get a balanced budget. And that's very, very key and very important. Thank you. Absolutely.
So I know we were pretty much in the same situation last year, where we had said we can't budget on the hope of getting grant funding. So I think we need to.
That's why there's no revenue. Because we didn't put. I mean, we're gonna get revenue, but we're not putting it in because of last year. We agreed we weren't gonna put any, we only put things in there for sure.
Yes, yes. So as the mayor pro tem had mentioned, there's not a lot right now that's guaranteed. And I think we really need to be cautious with how we're spending TIFA funds. Because TIFA funds are specific to projects in areas. And again, we're in the same situation we were last year, unfortunately. And I think we really have to have concrete ways of making sure the EDC can stay afloat.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, it pains me because we've done good work. Bruce, you've done such tremendous work this past year, given them the mess that you had come and clean up. But like we said, we're talking about the future. So we have to have some concrete ways of making sure that this can be a doable option. Mayor Pro Tem.
If I might just add, when we started, when Bruce came on board in January, the thought was we'd have an EDC director in 3 to 6 months. And that didn't happen. It took a year. And so we weren't able to do the planning and do the real constructive work that needed to be done so that we could create an EDC that we're proud of that has a balanced budget. So I'm gonna forgive that last year and the fact that we're in the same position this year as we were last year. But I think that, as Bruce has indicated to us all, this is the only year it's gonna happen. And we do have fund balance. One of the things that we didn't get in this year's budget packet that we got in previous years is an understanding of what each fund's fund balance is at the end of the year. So that we have an idea of saying, if we need to go over once, a small amount, 5%, 10%, whatever it is, we know that we're making a decision because remember, our overall fund balance in the general fund has to be at least 15%. We've had it as high as 35 or 36%. I have no idea what it is right now because we're not getting that information. Love to have that information. Because I think what it will show us is that we're pretty healthy, maybe less healthy than we were a couple of years ago because we've had such unexpected expenses regarding street and sewer and water. But I think that our ability to attract grants for our infrastructure, that the EDC has been able to get grants to help us with home improvement projects and other things. I trust Deb and I trust the EDC board. Yes, I'm on it, so it's a bit of a pat on my own back, but I think we'll be able to find that, what, 120,000 or so, that is the difference between what the city has put forth and what you need.
Well, some of it also is accounting issues. I mean, I asked on multiple occasions last year for money to be transferred from TIF to support the EDC. We sold property that should have transferred over to the EDC. The EDC, at different points, if we had gotten the transfers that we had asked for, then it would make the EDC budget look better, but it would make the TIF budget look worse. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. There's only one place right now until we develop these new revenue sources, and that is the TIF fund.
So given the time, and I hope you guys are gonna stick around for regular council, and I have to allow for public comment. We can continue this discussion in a few minutes. But it's 5:02, so I need to ask if there's anybody in the gallery that would like to stand and address council. You may do so at this time. All right, seeing no movement. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Study session adjourned. It is 6:55 PM. We'll be back in 5 minutes.